Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Mokwariola. Between the man on the street hoping to get a lifeline and the professional at the office working to meet a deadline, politics is often a unifying topic where leadership is a continuous assessment. In Nigeria, political parties switched places 2 years ago, where you now have the voice of the former ruling party echoing as the opposition through the corridors of power, managing to keep a united front after a long time. And so we ask, what are your thoughts on political developments and state of opposition parties in Nigeria? You can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC Connect. A report now to launch the program and Africa Today. We'll be right back. Welcome on board.
It's Judgment Day at the Supreme Court for supporters of both groups laying claim to the leadership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, who are seated and eagerly awaiting the outcome. In a 93-page unanimous judgment by 5 justices, the Supreme Court affirmed that the Ahmed Makarfi-led National Caretaker Committee of the opposition PDP was properly constituted by the National Convention that dissolved the Ali Modu Sheriff-led National Executive on May 21st, 2016 in Port Harcourt. But the Supreme Court justices also had harsh words for the political class, especially Ali Modu Sheriff and his team, who were accused of engaging in forum shopping for favorable judgments through frivolous court cases that only deserve to be in the judicial dustbin of history. It awarded 250,000 naira against them. In a lead judgment delivered by Justice Bode Rothvival, the Supreme Court says Sheriff displayed infantile desperation by filing over 10 suits against the Ahmed Makarfi-led National Caretaker Committee. After a wild jubilation by the winning side, some leaders of the party addressed the media.
The judgment is correct. This is the Supreme Court. There's nowhere else to go. They must be reconciled to the judgment, be reconciled to one another, and come together and work together as a party.
There is not going to be victimization. We are going to pursue genuine reconciliation with members that are willing to be reconciled, but all in the overall interest of the party. We'll be back in power 2019. That is what is next, and that is what we are going to work on.
This represents hope and future for Nigeria. The attempt to silence opposition has come to an end today, and by the grace of God, the party is set for victory in 2019.
We congratulate the justices because they've judged correctly and they've set in motion a new powerful process of democracy in Nigeria.
Ali Modu Sheriff was not in the Supreme Court, while his legal team and Deputy Cairo Jogbo hurriedly left the court premises without briefing the media.
Now, these are interesting times for Nigeria's opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, where Ahmed Makarfi is the new sheriff after Ali Modu Sheriff was recently marked out on legal grounds. Joining me in the studio on Africa Today, I have Nelson Ekujumi, a social commentator and a political analyst here on the program. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And on phone, I have Kennedy Osunwa, a constitutional lawyer in Lagos, Nigeria. Good to have you as well, Kennedy. All right, let's begin with you now, Nelson. What do you think would be the outcome of this political development with the court judgments and all? What do you think would be?
Well, it's first and foremost, I think we must appreciate the fact that the judiciary once again has come up to play its constitutional role, which is, adjudicating in disputes between parties. Unfortunately enough, the opposition party has been in turmoil since they lost the 2015 general election. And, it has been from one trouble to the other. It got to a head when 2 persons claimed leadership of the party, and got so good they took the battle out of the secretariat of the party as well as the streets, and they took it to the courts. And today we are here celebrating that the party has gotten the final judgment on where it stands. One only expects that those members of the party, the people that, the faction that got victory via the court judgment and the other party that lost, that they will sheath their sword, and work together, because of the fact that a viable opposition is very, very critical, to nurture democracy in any climate. We just hope that they will all bury their shirts, and work together as one for the good of the party as well as the country in general.
And talking about the opposition, there has been some reconciliatory move within the party that won the victory at the elections. I mean, the victory at the courts. Now, with this move, do you see the party gaining the popularity it once enjoyed? Because we've had mass defections from the PDP to the ruling APC.
Well, the truth of the matter is that in trying to seek peace within themselves, you should not be surprised if some people still, still nurse old wounds. And also, we must not forget the fact that in our country today, we are practicing politics of the stomach rather than politics of principle, politics of, service to the people about, ameliorating the human condition. So it is not unexpected that no matter the peace moves, that is being made, some of them have already jumped ship. Are you expecting them to return back from where they jumped to, where they believe that, the grass is green? Definitely not. So we expect that, like you stated at the beginning of your opening, when you came back from the break, that these are interesting times. We just hope that these developments will be in the best interest of the people, the party, and the country in general.
But what would you think they can do to lure them back? Because it's like you don't share any optimism of these defectors coming back to the PDP. What can they do so that they can have that, space they once occupied in the Nigerian political space?
Well, the only way they can lure them back is when they gain power at the various levels.
But should that be the case?
Pardon?
Should that be the case?
No, it shouldn't be the case.
Right.
Politics should be based on principles, should be based on ideology. But unfortunately, the reality of the times in our climate is that we are practicing politics that, they refer to as a stomach infrastructure, that the major consideration of most of our political gladiators is what is a need for me, rather than I'm going there to serve the people. That is why we imbibe this philosophy from a former civilian president who described our politics as the politics of do or die. So it is not unexpected that these people that have defected, I don't share any optimism. I don't have any confidence, knowing the antecedents of the reality on ground, that these people will jump ship from where they think, they are going to enjoy all the booties, because some of them, all their lives, they've been used, to, being in public office, and, enjoying public convenience.
But what can be done to change this whole ideology? Should it always be this case? Because politics should be something that one will want to go into so that he can better the lot of his people, his society. But what can we do now to change this narrative that seems to be our lot in politics?
There's quite a lot we can do, and it's a collective effort that is needed to do this turnaround, because even we at the other side, the electorate, we are also guilty of what we are accusing our public office holders of, or maybe our politicians. A lot of us, when election time is approaching, we are looking towards some little coins that will get on election day, maybe a Congo of rice.
Yeah, that's so sad.
We look for gratification. We vote. A lot of times, it saddens people like us that the average Nigerian voter, when you examine their pattern of voting, it is not based on issues. It is either based on endorsements or primordial sentiments. Oh, it's from my church. Oh, my father Gio laid his hands upon him. Oh, he worshipped in the same sanctuary with me. Or it's from my own part of the country. Those are the major factors, that determines where a lot of our people, put their political destiny. And, it is very sad. You expect that even when people come to you to assault your integrity, to assault your dignity as a human being, somebody offering you maybe 2,000 naira or 5,000 naira or some other gifts just to lure you to vote. It means that, you know, the person has quantified you in economic terms as a human being. And, you know, we are not in an era of slave trade.
Honestly, I totally agree with you. So, but let's hold your thoughts for now. We are watching Africa Today, and we have been looking at the political developments and state of opposition politics in Nigeria. Stay with us here for more after this break. Welcome back. Since 1999, when the current democratic dispensation began, the PDP's rule went uninterrupted until a coalition of opposition parties won the 2015 presidential election in an unprecedented fashion. And mixed reactions continue to trail the Supreme Court verdict on the party's leadership tussle and the possibility of having a viable opposition ahead of the elections barely 2 years from now. Now, Nelson, the PDP, we know before now, enjoyed, 16 years of rule without any interruption, as it were. But we had the APC at the back row, doing its bit as the opposition. Now that the PDP, seems to have gathered its, its strength, because before now, for 14 months, it had been law for the party that we once knew to be a dominant party. Now the party has come back, or so to speak. What are its chances of becoming the major opposition, or, taking up its role as the opposition that we once waited for? Well,
the truth of the matter is that the party's chances is as bright as it wants it to be, because the ball is in their court. They are the ones that will determine if they are really interested in playing the role of opposition party to the ruling party in government. Don't forget, before now, the coalition of parties were operating at their own individual levels as opposition to the ruling PDP. Then we had the AC, we had the ACN, we had the ANPP, we had the CPC, we had the Labour Party, and so many NCP, so many other parties. So as it is now, it's very, very unfortunate that the other parties didn't take advantage of the turmoil in the PDP, to warm their way into the hearts of Nigerians as a viable opposition party. And, today we are all expecting that the PDP will get its act together and, play that role. Well, I can't predict what tomorrow holds, but knowing what our politicians are capable of, I think, I want to go back to your opening salvo again, that, the days ahead will be very, very interesting for all of us.
I'm talking about interesting. The PDP, through Ahmed Markafi, the national chairman, said that the PDP is eyeing the Aso Rock Villa. What is the possibility of the comeback here?
Well, if the PDP can, lay out its programs to convince Nigerians that, look, we can do better than the ruling party in office today, and they can bring up, credible candidates, men and women that Nigerians, can thump their chests for. Who says it's impossible for them?
But you sound like it's going to be an uphill task for them.
It will be an uphill task because a lot of Nigerians still remember the years before they were upstage at the election in 2015 with pains. A lot of Nigerians still recollect, how they took Nigerians for granted, which some people are already accusing even the ruling party of, towing the same line. But you cannot, take away the fact that one of the cardinal principles that, endeared the present administration and the present party to the hearts of Nigeria was the personality of its presidential candidate. And until we get somebody who is, who is nearer to such a character, to such a personality like a President Muhammadu Buhari, it will be very, very difficult. Because a lot of Nigerians today are very, very much conscious of, the debilitating effect of corruption on our country, where corruption has brought us to. And that was the major reason why the President Muhammadu Buhari's victory at the polls in 2015 was like a tsunami that was ready to consume any obstacle on its way. So unless they are able to, to gather strength, across the country and present somebody of, such character as well, of impeccable character, and somebody, who has, been in office before, is tested and, can be trusted to deliver. It, you know, it's going to be an uphill
It might be
task.
something, well, worth expecting to watch.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, but let's look at the APC, the ruling APC now. For some time, there's been an internal crisis in the party. Do you think the party should be concerned or worried now that the PDP seem to have, well, or is gathering its act together?
Well, I think the party should be concerned at any time, not only because the PDP is gathering its act together, because the party was voted in by Nigerians based on certain conditions. And it is expected that any responsible party or gathering of people that calls themselves a party, you know, should ensure that those programs that they sold to the people, because the party is like a seller of products.
Yeah.
It is those products that they promise Nigerians that, you know, endear Nigerians to say, okay, we are going to the polls, we are going to give you our political destiny for the next 4 years. So not only because the PDP has, you know, it seems the PDP is going to get its acts together, but rather the APC should, you know, focus on delivering on the dividend of democracy to the Nigerian people at all times. That is the primary
and that should be the main
responsibility.
focus of
That
most
should be their
political
main
parties
focus.
in Nigeria today.
Yes.
But you also mentioned that this whole you know drama, more or less, you know, creates an atmosphere for a healthy democracy, you know, in our country today. But does it translate to good governance?
It should translate to good governance because of the fact that, you know, an opposition party is supposed to be the watchdog against the ruling party. It's supposed to be like a government, an alternative government, such that when the ruling party brings up a policy, the opposition party should be able to critically analyze that policy objectively and, you know, point out the pitfalls and, you know, prefer alternatives. Those are the ways in which the opposition party will endear itself to the electorate, as well as stabilizing the democratic polity. So the way it is now, it is very, very essential for us to have the ruling party, you know, up and doing, as well as the opposition parties also up and doing. Because like we say in democracy, while the majority will have their way, the minority must have their say. So it is very, very critical for, you know, for the opposition parties as well as the ruling party, you know, to be up and doing, you know, in delivering on their promises and, you know, programs to the people.
Let's go back to the same opposition party talk now. The PDP, since it lost the elections in 2015, we saw massive defections. Some would say perhaps it is, like you rightly put it, stomach infrastructure, but it is still raises a question of how formidable can we have an opposition party with the rate where we see defections at the slightest, you know, loss of an election? How can we have a formidable opposition in coming times to come, in the coming future?
It's not a mirage or something. It's not an uphill task for us to have a formidable opposition, if and only if even we the people are interested in voting based on issues, are interested in voting people based on their pedigree, are interested in voting people based on their character, rather than what will the man offer me on the day of election. You know, that has been the Achilles of the Nigerian democratic system. A lot of people are interested, even I myself, who is sitting down here, I'm interested in, you know, in contesting public office and, you know, trying to play my own role.
Okay.
But when you look at the terrain, the other time, and I showed interest, somebody told me that, look, how many houses does your father have? You know,
really,
you have to go and, you know, sell off those houses and use that money, you know, to mobilize the people to win election. And and what I told them was that, look, if I'm going there to serve, I see no reason why I should dispose of my father's property. I'm not even owing my own property.
So that means we have a long way to go in that.
We have a very, very long. Our political system is highly monetized. The average voter is always looking for, you know, I've been monitoring elections since 1999, and I've given this experience time and time again. A man or a woman gets to the polling unit, he slows down, he looks at party agent A, I'm available. Party agent B, what's up, you know?
So whose fault is it? Would you still say it's the government? Because some would say perhaps if the government had produced or provided for the people, we wouldn't be looking for, you know, like you said, party agents for some level of support.
You see, the people, over time, the people have become so disenchanted, so disappointed with the political class, with our elected public office holders, that they don't have trust in them to deliver on their promises. So the people see whatever they will get on the day of election or before election as their own dividend of democracy. But like we always admonish them that our Lord Jesus, I'm a Christian, he admonished us that man shall not live by bread alone.
Yeah, that's true.
And we always admonish them that when you are giving, say, 5,000 naira or a shirt or whatever you are giving, will that provide for you for the next 4 years? Like I observed the last senatorial or Osun West senatorial election, and before the election, I did a pre-election survey, and I was talking to people, and somebody said anybody that accepts any gifts and based on that votes a particular candidate, that for as far as they are concerned, the person has collected his own dividend of democracy for the next 4 years. So I think we have a long way to go, and that long way is that we need to seriously sensitize our people on the essence of, when you ask people, I've had occasions to ask people, why are you voting? I just want to vote. How can you just want? Don't you realize that the person you'll be voting to office will be in charge of your economic destiny for the next 4 years?
So who should do this now so that the minds of the people can be educated?
Yes.
So that they can understand the level of what they are going into.
The people need to be thoroughly educated. Like I tell our people, just like the churches, some of us have taken upon ourselves, just like the religious institutions, have never stopped preaching the message of repentance and of an eternal kingdom. So also do we, as the media, as the civil society, as even religious bodies, we owe that responsibility to continuously educate our people that, look, the man or woman you are voting into office will be in charge of distributing resources for the education of your children, distributing resources for infrastructure, distributing resources for, things that will make life meaningful for you. So if you are voting for somebody based on the fact that, it comes from the same ethnic clan like myself, or we worship in the same religious institution, or I'm voting for him because he has given me a bag of rice, that means you are mortgaging your destiny economically for the next 4 years based on what you have just gotten.
Quite a sad situation, I would say.
Sad.
But if you were to cap this all in a nutshell, 2 years from now, what would be your expectation from the PDP and the APC?
My expectation from the PDP in the next 2 years is that I expect them to close their ranks. I know it will be very tough, but it is a journey worth embarking on if they really have the interests of the people at heart, as well as the party, because I know that the founding fathers of the party had an agenda which is about delivering on democratic dividends to the people, making life meaningful. So I expect them to close their ranks and to provide that viable opposition by looking at issues constructively, by looking at issues dispassionately. I don't expect them to play the role of opposition who will always impugn ethnicity or religion or other primordial sentiment that will divide us. And as for the APC, I expect that the time has come for them to realize that the honeymoon, is almost over. The time has come for them to show their worth in the next 2 years, so that Nigerians will decide, dispassionately where they want to cast their political destiny with and come 2019 polls. All
right, and on that positive note, I'd like to thank you very much, Nelson Ekujumi, a social commentator and political analyst. Good to have you always on the program.
It's a pleasure.
Now, in a continent where politics influences almost everything, the incumbents' need to hold on to power continue to inspire the opposition's move for a takeover. And towards 2019 elections in Nigeria, the next chapter looks unwritten, and the game is only shaping up just in time, where a viable opposition remains necessary for democracy to grow. And that is our package for today. But don't forget to join the conversation as usual on Twitter at TVC Connect, and also follow me for updates around Africa at Esther TVC News. Until the next one, I am Esther Makwariola. Bye for now.